So it starts with getting well with the parents, and especially with the female, because she's going to be nursing. And you want your milks alkaline. We've talked about this before. If you eat acidic foods, acid-forming foods, which is your meats, your grains, your beans, pastas, things like this, your tomato sauces and all this sort of thing, if that's your diet, then your milks are going to be acidic. And that's the one thing that is a big negative. And you never hear that allopathically. They don't talk about the chemical nature of your milk in terms of base or acid chemistry. That's a big deal. Kind of like when you pasteurize, you move everything toward the acidic side. When you break down structures, you're generally using an acid, but you're going to use alkalis. A lot of digestive enzymes are alkalis. But everything else, the whole process of decay is an acidic experience. All the flips off, including ascorbic acid, is a flip off of the Krebs cycles, of all the cycles. So, and then we go to the byproducts, or the flip offs, I call them, and we're going to use them to get healthy. What? That's the mind, the intellectual mind being lost. And don't let your intellectual, you can be as intellectual as you want, but if you allow your mind to dominate you, you'll never find the kingdom of heaven. And you certainly will not find happiness at the level you would like. Because the mind is ongoing. It'll chew, 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 and keep you always involved with the thinking processes. And it's endless. The mind and the mental worlds themselves are gigantic. If you get anything by Holmes, books by Holmes, that's talks about cosmic consciousness or Christ consciousness, which is universal mind. And every one of our minds that we're using comes out of one big, huge area called the universal mind. Those individual minds are found in the causal worlds. So your mind, the individual mind you're using, really gets its duality and its essential workings causal from the causal plane, which is the orange plane. The beautiful blue is the mental worlds, the etheric, the I am, the etheric. That is the id, the young and wife's id. And then we have the formless worlds of consciousness. These are states of consciousness. This is consciousness. So consciousness is the awareness that you have behind those eyes of yours. As you want to experience individually, you take on an individual body. And the first thing is your individuality. That is your id. That separates you from all the other individuals. That's why everyone has an id. We're all individuals. From here we're not. From here we are. The first time you start to understand we're not as cosmic consciousness. Down here you're into the emotions and into the physical worlds. Real simple when you start to put the body together and you together and how you work in terms of mind, emotions, physical body, but conscious awareness behind those bodies. You get that, and that's good. Now, let's say that you conceive now. The lady is pregnant. What type of life? What are you gonna eat? Now here's the problem. If you suddenly conceive, you're pregnant, and then you go on a raw food diet. You didn't before, you just heard about this and suddenly you went into this. I would suggest that you not go into a high detoxification diet unless you don't care whether you hold that baby or not, that egg at that point or not. Because when you start detoxifying, anything that's weak in your body will tend to be released. Anything that's an unwanted chemistry at that time the body will tend to get rid of it. Now, I've never seen anybody abort during pregnancy and detoxification, but certainly believe it's possible. Especially in today's world where these fetuses are so weak genetically, it would behoove creation to release that fetus and then develop another one. I mean, you have to understand, nature doesn't have an emotional component to it here. Its component is survival. So it's always going to get rid of the weak and try to replace it with the strong. And you see that everywhere in nature. If you're weak, you don't see a lion go after the strong buck. He's going to get his butt kicked. And is it worth it? No, he's going to get a little one. He's going to get a little baby, or he's going to get something that's weak. But that's the cycle of life in that way. Same thing with a mother bird and a nest of babies. You got a nest of babies, and all of them are really chirping good, and then there's one little baby, he's weak. Out the nest he goes. If the mama doesn't do it, the other ones will. It's a natural phenomenon to develop strength, because in the human race, you're seeing the unconsciousness of allopathy influence the emotional side of this. And now you've got, because of the treatment concepts, you have babies born without faces, babies born so deteriorated, and the one big one, here's one that I just did the iris analysis for. This is a 5-year-old. And this poor mom is really asking for some help here. She's a 5-year-old girl. Nephrotic syndrome. You know what? It comes back to kidney failure. That comes back. How can so many people, and as a matter of fact, you could almost make a blanket statement that almost every baby born has some degree of kidney failure. And I think I would be 100% accurate with that statement. Now, why? What's causing all this? Is this just disease? It's just disease isn't genetics. Genetics is cellular. All right, so you got a cell in the thyroid, or thyroid cells that are like this. Yeah, you're going to have hypothyroidism. That's not a disease. That's a low-functioning thyroid. And someday, with the help of some of you good attorneys out there, we all in the health industry need to go after the FDA and the AMA. And I'm not above doing that at any time you would like to. Because they're grabbing these words and claiming that we can't use them because they're medical and they're full of crap. Not medical. Your liver's not medical. We all have a liver. See, and that's there's a lot of problems they can run into in this country with dominating the health scenes. You know, there's a lot of laws that prevent you from dominating. So anyway, but that's part of the problem that we face here. What's genetic is the cell, not the fluids in the body. Not the blood and lymph, that's not genetic. Blood cells could be, but the cell is genetic. So the structure function. Cells, and everything in your body is cells. Your heart, your liver, your fingers, your fingernails, your hair, your ovaries, your uterus, your male, your toes, your heart, your bowels, bones, nerves. Everything is cells, and every one of those little babies, almost 100 trillion, are genetics. Now, are they strong? I came through strong. Or is it, oh man, what do I got to do here? Produce what? Thyroxin? Or pre-thyroxin? What is it? Oh, I'm a pituitary. It's TSH. Oh yeah, I got it. I just looking at a blood report from a lady in trouble, a 21-year-old. And there her TSH, it was non-existent. The medical, for some reason, the lab tagged it, but that's not the focus. And here the lady hasn't had a period since she's 21. She hasn't had it, what, 4 or 5 years? And I'm like, honey, that's a problem. And you're going to get it, but you got to fix things. And she's 21 with that chronic of a pituitary that she hasn't had a period for 4 years or so. This is part of the problem, guys. We got to fix ourselves, and you young people have really got to fix yourselves. Because we have been thinking about genetics, and genetics is cellular. Structure, function. Structure, function, cells. And everything is a cell. So everything can be mutated at birth and function. Or hyper. Hypo or hyper, either way. Hypo's low, hyper's high, right? Hyper's easy to fix in the body. Hyper's just chemistry creating hyperactivity of a cell. That's easy to fix. Anything hyperactive is easy to fix. Hyperthyroid, those are easy. But if you get into chronic hypo, that is when, it depends on the level. If you're into chronic cellular weaknesses, you're into cells that are going, whoa, crazy. I don't even know who I am. And that's the problem. This is what we're developing by the consciousness of treatment-based thinking. We're not thinking causative factors and fixing causative factors. We're thinking, oh, look, you got a tumor there. Let's go after that thing. Let's cut it out, cut half your liver out and half your lung, and we'll get that out of there for you. Okay. All right. Oh, yeah, you did that, right? Oh, you got another one growing in there. Oh, in another place. Oh, it must have spread. That kind of idiocy is killing man. I have friends that just can't get it together and they're going that way, and I just watching them die. You've got to fix what caused that tumor. What system is that tumor in, number one? What system, right? If you're going to say immune system, yeah. So the tumor is immune/lymphatic because your immune system is your lymphatic system. Get an A&P book. Very little immunity in your blood. Where's the bulk of the immunity? In the sewer system. Don't tell anybody, but the body has a major sewer. Oh, that would be the immune system. Duh. Oh, yeah, of course. That only makes sense. See what I mean? You guys are way advanced in the head of the thinking on this planet. And that's important because this planet needs a little juice up or something because it's, So, important if you're carrying a baby, and if you've never been raw and you jump into this, let me suggest this. Let me suggest that you do a little cooked vegetables, a little steamed vegetables. Let me suggest that your breakfast is always fruit. Big bowl of fruit till lunch. That'll start to clean the kidneys and get everything going. Then at lunch, have a big salad if you want. Maybe some steamed veggies. And at night, maybe another salad or a bowl of fruit. You want to have some balance because you're coming from a very coarse, acidic forming diet into an alkalizing diet. Well, what that means is you're coming from a cationic, dehydrating diet into an anionic, alkalizing, hydrating diet. Well, when you just get chemistry and look at the difference between anionic and cationic, and you'll see that one dehydrates, agglomerates, hardens, and that's going to be the acidic side. So when you start moving your diet away from those type of foods, which is what causes kidney weakness in the first place. Remember, it's the proteins that are destroying man. And the negative forces are keep promoting it in your face. But it is the proteins that are destroying you. Take a look at mother's milk. In a court of law, I hope those attorneys go into mother's milk and the chemistry of mother's milk, because that's vital in understanding that protein isn't the number one factor needed in a baby's diet. And when you go on Ensure or some type of Pedisure or some type of baby formula where you have like 18% protein and 1% sugar, you've swamped majorly the chemistry around, and now you're feeding your baby some crap that some chemist thought the body might need from some stupid consciousness that doesn't exist, and now your baby starts getting full of mucus and acidic, and then here comes the cold and flus, the fevers, and then everything starts going downhill from there. Can't do it. Not in today's world. You can't do what we've been doing, eating wise and everything else. You can play. I play. But I don't live in that